All right, colleagues. Good morning. I'm calling the September 8th Board of Directors meeting to call to order. First, I'm going to ask our interpreter to explain how to access interpretation. So please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. So this is an announcement from the interpreter to use the interpretation feature. Please scroll to the bottom of the Zoom screen where the meeting controls are. Click on the interpretation icon, the world, and select English as your language. If you're joining through the Zoom mobile app, cell phone, or tablet, please press the ellipsis, then interpretation, and then choose your language. Finally, click on mute original audio to not hear the original Spanish flow in the background. Headsets are available for interpretation. If you are in the meeting room, please check out a headset from the receptionist in the lobby. Hola, ¿qué tal a todos? Este es un aviso por parte del intérprete. Para poder hacer uso del servicio de interpretación, favor de desplazarse a la parte inferior de la pantalla de Zoom donde aparecen los controles. Haga clic en el icono de interpretación, el globo terráqueo, y seleccione Spanish o español. Si está utilizando la aplicación móvil de Zoom, celular o tableta, etcétera, presione los puntos suspensivos, luego interpretación y luego el idioma. Si no desea escuchar el audio original en inglés en el fondo, por favor seleccione Mute Original Audio. Contamos con auriculares disponibles para el servicio de interpretación. Si se encuentra en la sala de reunión, favor de pedir auriculares con la recepcionista del vestíbulo.
Thank you. All right, with that, I'm going to ask that we're going to go ahead and do the tribal acknowledgement. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the land that we call home. The tribal nations of the San Diego region has historically faced injustices. We acknowledge the harmony that existed between the land, nature, and its origins people who have since endured displacement, persecution, and systemic oppression. We pay our respect to the unceded territory and homelands of the 18 tribal nations in our region, the most in any county in the United States, from 4 cultural groups, the Kumeyaay de Guiño, the Luiseño, the Cupeño, and the Coahuila. This land has nourished, healed, protected, and embraced them for many generations in a relationship of balance and harmony. As members of the SANDAG community, we acknowledge this legacy, and we aspire to learn from indigenous traditional knowledge and experiences, undoing the injustice of the past. Now, can you please join me, stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic that trying to figure out where the flag was, but it was up here, not up here, down here. Changed it on me. All right. Before we get started, I want to acknowledge that this is our first meeting since our CEO, Hassan, announced that he's going to be stepping down. I want to make sure that folks know that we are working on a CEO recruitment process. Want to make sure I emphasize that this will be, like everything else that we've been doing here, a transparent and community-centered process for the board's approval and with community engagement as well. So I'm really looking forward to working with our board and community organizations as we create a process together. With that, I'm going to go ahead and begin our meeting with non-agenda public comments. This is for the public and member non-agenda comments. Per the board policy, the amount of time allowed for each verbal public comment is determined based on the number of agenda items, the complexity of these items, and the number of persons anticipated to offer comment. This allows us to hear from as many people as possible to complete our business while we still have quorum. And based on today's factors for today's meeting, each member of the public will be allowed 1 minute for their comments. And I'm going to also ask that our board members keep their comments brief as well. I'm going to take item 11 at the end of the agenda to ensure we can get through our action items first. So following non-agenda comments, we will take consent and then go straight into the closed session items. And then let's go now for, we're going to first do non-agenda public comments. Tessa?
Good morning. I want to remind the public that at the beginning of the meeting for non-agenda public comments, we take the first 5 public commenters, and the remainder will be taken at the end of the meeting. The first 5 public commenters that will be taken now are Dan Summers, B. Mittermiller, Bob Gonzalez, Manny Rodriguez, and Chloe Lauer. The remaining public commenters at the end of the meeting will include Michael Brando, Nicole Burgess, Truth, and the virtual commenters, Bill Carpenter, Alex Wong, Blair Beekman, the original draw, phone number 899, and Jamie. Our first public commenter, Dan Summers, please come to the podium.
Thank you, and good morning. Dan
Give me-
Summers. I'm from the
Sir, give
remote-
me a minute. We're going to go ahead and start in a second, but can you please go ahead and comment on the fact that we do have quorum?
Yes, I apologize, Chairwoman. Did you want me to do the roll call? We do have a quorum. For City of Carlsbad, Council Member.
You said we have quorum, we're quorum, we're
Yes.
fine. Okay, thank you. Go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Dan Summers. I'm from the Ramona Community Planning Group. I've prepared a 3-minute presentation, but I'm going to cram it into one. Wish me luck. There's been a misconception that the Ramona Community Planning Group wants to expand 67 from Ramona all the way to Lakeside. That has never been our ask. We have always asked that we expand from the western end of Ramona down to Scripps Falway Parkway, a distance of 7.8 miles, of which 1.7 is already 4 lanes, 1.6 is already 3 lanes, and 4.5 is 2 lanes. That has always been our request, and that's much less than the misconception. We have population of Ramona is up to 50,000 people with neighboring communities, and we need 4 lanes for 7.8 miles to evacuate Ramona in the event of a fire. The 2, 3, and 4 lane segments cause.
Your time has expired. Our
Sir, if you have a
next,
presentation, feel free to give it to staff and staff will make sure that we share it with the rest of the members. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
our next public speaker, B. Mittermiller, please come to the podium.
Good morning, Chair Vargas and board members. Welcome back. My name is B. Mittermiller with San Diego 350. Mr. Crada's arrival in 2018, or since his arrival in 2018, he and the SANDAG staff have succeeded in creating a regional plan that tackles the county's problems of greenhouse gas emissions, inequity, and traffic congestion with an integrated multimodal public transportation system. Mr. Crada and his staff over the years listened to community input and shared information as it became available. We expect transparent and collaborative public interactions will continue under his replacement. Given the importance of SANDAG's CEO, we also want the process of selecting a successor to be open to the public. I recall being at a community meeting in 2017 at the start of the search for a new CEO, where everyone was given a chance to give input on the process. Chair Vargas, thank you for confirming that this will happen again. Let's continue to work together during the transition to continue.
Thank you.
the
Your time
progress made.
expired. Our
As
next
quickly as
public
possible. Thank
commenter,
you.
Bob Gonzalez, please come to the podium.
Thank you. My name is Bob Gonzalez. I live at 2472 Crooked Trail Road in Chula Vista. I'm a retired electrical engineer, so in essence, a citizen. I'm here to make a request regarding SR 125 at the intersection of San Miguel Road. If you were to go there, you would see an on-ramp and an off-ramp that takes you to the north. However, to go to the south, there's 2 dirt roads, one being an on-ramp, the other one an off-ramp. My request is to pave those roads, because right now, if you want to go south, you have to take San Miguel all along a 2-mile detour to get to the 8th Street on and off ramp. And so there's been accidents on that detour road. So having these ramps paved would potentially reduce the accidents.
Your time expired.
Thank you very much. And
Our next public speaker, Manny Rodriguez, please come to the podium.
I have diagrams should any be requested.
Good morning, Chair Vargas, and good morning, Board of Directors of SANDAG. I'm here on behalf of the City Head CDC, and this morning I joined many community-based organizations and environmental groups to speak on the importance for the new CEO of SANDAG to prioritize reducing greenhouse gas emissions, providing the freedom to navigate San Diego without needing a car, and providing bold new leadership for our region. We think it's important that this process be open to the public, allow input, and prioritize folks from all areas of the county, not just City of San Diego, but there's plenty of North County areas that are also underrepresented, and there are also areas underrepresented within the City of San Diego. So we call on the board to make sure that representation is made with this new CEO, and that they continue the progressive leadership to meet our climate goals and give people the freedom to navigate the city without being burdened to a car. Thank you.
And our final non-agenda public speaker, Chloe Lauer, please come to the podium.
Good morning, Chair Vargas and board members. I'm Chloe Lauer, the Executive Director of the San Diego County Bicycle Coalition. My remarks are also regarding Mr. Crata's resignation and replacement. Under his leadership, SANDAG crafted a regional plan addressing our county's challenges and proposed achievable solutions for fair, fast public transit for all. We appreciate SANDAG taking community engagement and input seriously and are glad to hear that that will continue. We ask that the new CEO promote bicycling as a viable, safe, and mainstream form of transportation. Cycling can be a great last mile solution within a multimodal network. We seek to connect the disparate segments of our existing cycling infrastructure and advocate alongside our mobility partners for reliable, frequent transit service so that people have real choices regarding how they get around, and so that we reach carbon neutrality and reduce vehicle miles traveled. Together, we can create the safest and best city in the nation for cycling. Thank you for your time.
That concludes the non-agenda public comments at this time.
Thank you. Hassan, I'm going to go ahead and turn over to you.
Sure. Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Board of Directors. Welcome back. I have talked with many of you as I announced my last day here at SANDAG, December 29th of this year. It's good to see you all. I came to SANDAG almost 5 years ago. I remember 5 years ago, I sat in middle table here interviewing with the Board of Directors. We have done amazing things together. I'm proud of the team here at SANDAG for helping put a vision for this region. As the agency starts its next chapter, I feel it's the right time to hand over the leadership reign. This agency, the work it does, the people who work here, the people we serve, deserve nothing but the best. It's been a very humbling experience for me to serve this region for 5 years. Humbling to work with many of you. Yeah, we don't always agree on things, but we had in mind that we need to deliver for this region. And we delivered simply because we have amazing people, not because of me, but because of the amazing 425 people that work here. Those people will make any CEO, he or she, look good because they work hard, they believe in what they do, they believe in public service. Hundreds of projects are going on right now. In addition, we made sure that social justice and social equities rises to the top, where marginalized communities, low-income groups are well served, as well as the rest of the region. Transformative projects. We finished the Mid-Coast to UCSD on time, on budget, during a very difficult COVID time. Amazing team that delivered this. That project is used around the country as the gold star of light rail projects. It's wind up this board. Now it's up to this board and the next CEO to ensure that this progress continues. I stand ready if asked to help in any way, shape, or form I can, but it is your decision to make sure that the work continues. We recently, not only you're gonna have a new CEO, but you're gonna have a new office building. I signed a 15-year lease in the building that has the crane across the street from Santa Fe. We will be moving late next year. We will stay here until we move. But I feel very strongly that 15-year lease serves the public, provide the security and safety for you and the employees, and provide the space for the next generation of employees to work at. The building is being currently built. If any of you is interested to go see it, we'll love to. The building will have a better public access. So people from the street could actually walk into the first floor, which will be the Vigil Lab, and see people and the project that they funded. It's amazing place in my view. And I want you to know that there is a team that worked on this, specifically the Deputy Executive Officer, Mr. Ray Major, the Chief Counsel, Mr. John Kirk, and the Senior Director of Organization Effective, Melissa Covid. Without them, this would not have happened. So I want to thank them in your behalf for their work. In the meantime, our team has not stopped work toward our vision in the region. Over the week, we celebrated the grand opening of the San Leo Activity High Park and Ride in Encinitas with our Caltrans partners. And let me underline Caltrans partners. We enjoy the best partnership of any Department of Transportation in the state of California. And that is one of the main reasons why we're successful in moving projects together. I want to thank my partner, Director Gustavo Dilardo, for his partnership. We joined with our partners and MTS, Chula Vista, and the U.S. Department of Transportation to announce federal funding for the Palomar Grade Separation Project. We were there last month, with Undersecretary of Transportation, with many of you celebrating the funding. And while we're doing that, a motorist was hit, on a motorcycle was hit actually right there. So it's a tragic way to highlight the importance of grade separation. We welcome the Assembly Speaker, the new Assembly Speaker, Robert Rivas, to the region. I want to thank the leadership who was there to receive him. This is important. This is actually the first time in many decades that Southern California will not have either, in a couple of years, will not have either a speaker or a president pro tem. And so to have the speaker, the new speaker who's from the Central Valley, come here and visit with us is very telling. And his message to us is, your reputation is you innovate, you create, and we like to work with people like that. So I'm grateful to Speaker Robert Rivas. I'm also grateful to former Speaker Rendon, the President Pro Tem Atkins, which we visited with last week, for all the work they did for SANDAG and the region. Traveled to Sacramento last week, met with the heads of a lot of departments of the governor's office. And again, I said this morning to the executive members, this agency enjoyed the greatest reputation in Sacramento and Washington. People look us in the eye and say, we trust you with our money because you do great work. Yesterday, we hosted the Director of Government Affairs, Intergovernmental Affairs, Mr. Tom Perez here from the White House. I want to thank Supervisor Vargas, Council Member Jack Shu for a meeting with him. We went to the airport and CEO Kimberly from the airport took us on a tour of the construction, amazing construction that's happening. I want to say to Kimberly, a great work to do this amazing work that's happening there. But with Mr. Perez, yesterday we emphasized with Gustavo, our Caltrans partners, we went to District 11, gave a brief presentation on our priorities, Otay Mesa to Los Angeles. So I want to thank again Gustavo and his team for organizing the visit. We also rode in the car with him and Gustavo to the grade crossing that the old town that they're funding. We are also currently visiting each of the subregions to do regional transportation plan workshops. We had a huge open house last week to talk about the Loss and Alignment project in Delmar. This project has been a long time coming, and we are very confident in the work that we have done. I am very thankful for the tremendous support we have received from our state and federal partners, as we appreciate the public discussion too. But let us not forget, this is an important project for every single jurisdiction represented here today, and for the rest of the state and the rest of the nation. This is a nationally designated corridor. So this board has always been very supportive of moving the track off the bluff, and I hope that will continue. We have received $300 million from the state budget. We started the environmental and design work. We're replacing the old bridges. We're double tracking. We're working with our partners, NCTD, Caltrans, to make sure that we deliver this for San Diego. So you're going to be hearing a lot about this project very soon. Yesterday, with Director Perez from the White House, he did say that he's really impressed with how San Diego does things, whether it's a one-runway airport in the middle of town, or it's thinking big about tunneling or moving the track off the bluff. We also, yesterday, our team presented to the airport authority the connection to the transit to the airport that you heard about last month before you went on vacation. The airport authority is a willing partner. I want to thank Kim and her team. They're reserving a space between Terminal 1 and 2 for the future automated people mover. But that work is continuing. The environmental work will start very shortly, and that's an important priority for the region. Last but not least, I look forward to bring you a future update on the blue line and the purple line. And I want to conclude my report by saying to the amazing team that's work here, I'm sad to leave them, and I know they are sad too. But what makes it less of an issue is the fact that the team believes in the leadership we have. I was honored to have the Chair Vargas, First Vice Chair Elio Rivera, Second Vice Chair Mayor Hiepner, to talk to the 425 staff at the library, to assure them that things will continue. CEOs come and go. The consistent thing is the people that do the work. And so I'm grateful for the leadership to assure the staff that. While sad, I'm hopeful for the future. I have faith in the executive team that we built here. I have faith in you as leaders, and I wish you well in recruiting the new CEO. Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Hassan. For my report, and I think that I will expand on my gratefulness and thank yous to Hassan as we get closer to your departure. But I wanted to say that I was very grateful to my colleagues in leadership for joining me as we met with the SANDAG team to share with them that this was going to be a process that was going to be very thorough, transparent, one where community is engaged. We'll make sure that staff is included as well. And then, of course, our board of directors. And so as we're heading, as we're moving forward with this process, my commitment to them is that I will be in constant communication with all of them to share what that process is. And then also reassure them that we have a strong leadership team that is able to execute the work as we're moving forward and in partnership. And so I am grateful for all of you and for them, for all the SANDAG staff for everything that they do every day. With that, just two items that I want to make sure that I update you all on. One is that I think we had talked about the RENA process continues to be a priority for all of us. And so comments are due Friday, September 15th. All the jurisdictions and the public are encouraged to submit their comments to HCD. They're expected to do the report on their findings to the legislature by December 31st. SANDAG continues to provide updates to just jurisdictional planning and housing staff, and is going to be bringing updates to the regional planning and executive committees as they are available. We are also working to set up a meeting with HCD for local jurisdictions to provide feedback to HCD, since I think it's important to make sure that your voices are heard. I heard it loud and clear during our retreat, so I want to make sure that you all are engaged. So we want to have an avenue where people can do that. And then I also want to make sure that everyone knows that through SANDAG's Housing Acceleration Program, each of our jurisdictions can access free hours of consultation, consultant staffing assistance for housing-related activities to support our housing element implementation. So if you have not utilized that, please encourage your city managers and leaders to do that. So far, only 4 jurisdictions have used this assistance, so I want to make sure that everyone knows about this resource and is able to use it. Again, the deadline to make requests is September 30th, and so I'm asking the team to send additional details after this meeting to all of you so that you can know how to follow up with that process. The other one is, we've been talking about this since I took on this role, and there's been a lot of comments and conversations about board policies and bylaws. And so I want to make sure I remind everyone that we have a process to review and update those board policies and bylaws, and we're going to be doing that soon. We have received some recommendations and are identifying several areas for us to consider throughout the year. So we have made some exceptions where needed, like in the audit process, but it is important to me that we follow our process and that we take a comprehensive review of all of our policies together so that we also have an opportunity for the community to provide feedback, and transparency is key. So we plan to start that conversation with the executive committee in October, and then we look forward to bringing it over to all of you. So if you have any feedback with that, I'm going to open it up for public comment. Oh, we did public comment. Sorry, I'm sorry, member comment. So I think I have Gustavo.
Thank you, Chair Vargas. I wanted to mention a big closure that is happening starting tonight and affecting the traffic here around downtown San Diego. We are closing I-5 in the southbound direction tonight at 9 p.m. and we won't be reopening it until Monday at 5. This is between I-8 and State Route 163. The reason for the closure is the bridge on I-5 over 163 is 63 years old, and it needs some repairs on the riding surface of the bridge. The bridge deck needs to be thoroughly repaired. So if you're planning to travel to downtown this weekend, and particularly if you're planning to go to the airport, plan ahead. If you're traveling southbound on 5, you will be detoured on I-8. If you're going to downtown, you probably want to take 163. If you're going south of downtown, you probably want to take 805. To get to the airport, there are other routes as well, and I encourage everybody to think about what the best route that works for them. We are also going to be taking this opportunity to reach some areas that are inaccessible normally, to perform other maintenance work between I-8 and 163. We will be keeping the on-ramps open, starting from Old Town Avenue all the way to 163, and they will be funneled through only one lane in the downtown area. So again, this is a huge closure. I want everybody to think about planning ahead, taking more time on their trips this weekend. If you're going southbound, we will be doing a similar closure at the end of the month on the weekend of September 29th in the northbound direction. we will be providing more information prior to that closure. So I want to thank you all for helping us spread the message and also ask for your patience and the public's patience as we have to get this important work done. So that's pretty much it. Why we picked these 2 weekends is we work with the airport, we work with the convention center, we worked with hospitals, we work with the elected officials from the city of San Diego, and we picked the 2 weekends where there are the least amount of disruption due to major events in downtown San Diego. But there's always stuff happening in downtown San Diego, so we realize that there will be some impacts. That's it. That's what I wanted to mention, and I want to thank Hassan also for a great partnership. And transportation is never easy, but it is easier when we all work together. And like Hassan mentioned, we have a great partnership between all the employees at SANDAG and the employees at Caltrans, and we're working together to improve transportation for all of San Diegans. Thank you.
Thank you. I know they missed that there's a huge country concert this weekend at the borders, at the waterfront, so it'll be fun. All right, next we have Council Member Terry.
Thank you, Chair. I want to let the board know that the City of Del Mar Council passed a resolution on Tuesday to this board asking to express support for SANDAG's public outreach plan. This is for the railroad relocation off the bluffs in Del Mar, and to encourage SANDAG to commit to engaging the public through every means possible to ensure a robust public participation process, which includes answering the public questions. We've received a lot of feedback in Del Mar, and we've recognized that uncertainty and fear is already turning into anger and frustration. And it's going to be really important to have this public outreach and communication so that the uncertainties are addressed, the answers are given. And one of the things that's starting to become clear, especially with the 2017 environmental report that was posted this past weekend, is with the tunnel, there will be homes that will be impossible to keep in place with the tunnel happening, with the entrances and the exits. And that's potentially in the city of San Diego for one alignment and in Del Mar for the other alignment. So what people are asking is, SANDAG board, please ask the SANDAG staff to credibly and thoroughly include looking at a fairgrounds to I-5 alignment in the study, and to look hard at keeping the train along I-5 rather than going back underneath people's homes and having it come out and join the tracks that exist at the pump station. If we can do this, we can eliminate 2 miles of tracks through the Penasquitos Lagoon, 1.5 miles on the bluff, and 1.2 miles of tracks in the wetlands that continue to the south of the San Diego River and a little bit west of where the trestle is and where the tracks are now. So the wetlands will gain. So the ask becomes not only, let's look at the fairgrounds to I-5 alignment, let's study it right along with the tunnels. We have $300 million, but let's also look at the full environmental gains of the potential project. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I also want to, on behalf of the City of Encinitas, thank Hassan for his efforts here with this agency. I think it's ironic that your tenure here coincided with Build NCC as it worked its way through Encinitas. I would also like to thank Caltrans and the several other resource agencies that were a part of that project. The work being done is really quite a relief. What used to be referred to as a park and ride is now a multi-use facility, and it is going to be a great opportunity for people to take advantage of the beautiful natural environment that we have there. The work that was done with Build NCC and the widening of the bridge, not only for more lanes of travel, but also to increase the width of the mouth so that we had proper tidal flush through the San Leo Lagoon, was critical. And when you throw in the double tracking of the railroad corridor and the many multimodal improvements that were part of this project, it has had a very positive impact on our city. I know that the work has moved to Carlsbad and it's working its way north, but really critical stuff. And I want to thank you again for all that you have done here as an agency as well as Caltrans. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor?
Thank you.
Jones?
I wasn't sure if it was registering. So back at our last meeting on July 28th, we had a discussion about an agenda item, and that was the Central Mobility Hub. I sent an email, and I have a copy of it here for everyone that wants a copy of it. I sent an email on the 3rd asking for some clarification on a few things. And what I specifically asked for was, I said, I'm going to read it straight from my email. I have some follow-up questions regarding item number 16, the $40 million that was allocated to the Central Mobility Hub. I'd like to have a fully itemized accounting of what we have spent all dollars on. And when the email came across, it was totally taken out of context. So I'm probably sure that most of you that saw that email went, what is this? I don't even know what they're talking about. There was also a small graphic that was given. It doesn't fully itemize anything. It gives us bulk items, for instance, administration and contract management. And then it also has program administration, risk management, technical reviews, federal and state, grant program. Anyway, it's not what I asked for. I think as a board member, you know, I have many board members saying, you should ask more questions and get your answers ahead of time. So I totally tried to do this in this case. There was also several links to over 500 pages for me to find that information of the answer that I was seeking. And I can tell you that if any of my staff members did not follow what I asked them to do and provide to me so I can make an informed decision, they wouldn't be with my organization any longer, because that just cannot be tolerated. So I know I spend a lot of time asking questions. I do try to answer, have them answered ahead of time. You know, I have so many instances like this, but it's very frustrating to me. I do have copies for everyone here today, so you can see what I asked in my email specifically, and it's the entire email. And then also, you all were provided back on August 30th, a full 27 days later, an answer to my question with all the 500 pages of links, and then without the actual information that I requested. So I bring this up just because I think that we need to have a change here. The change needs to be, and I know that Chair Vargas, I know that you talk a lot about encouraging us to work together and all that. This does not feel like we're being, you know, we're getting the answers to the questions. You know, I have only 100, right around 100,000 people that I am representing, but I feel like when I'm here, I am wearing a regional hat, and I am wearing my regional hat. And when we are not getting answers to our questions, it's very frustrating, and it needs to stop. And so whatever it takes to make that stop, we need a different direction. We need a direction with true inclusivity of all of our transportation needs, answers to our questions when we ask them, and full transparency so that the folks from the, you know, the public know what we're doing with our money. And, you know, when we're talking, you know, $40 million, but a transportation plan that is upwards of 270 billion at year of expenditure, we need to get this right. And we need to get answers to these questions so that we're making informed decisions. So anyway, that's the end of my comments. Thank you so much, Chair.
I will make sure to follow up. Councilmember Campillo.
Thank you, Chair. And I want to just say thank you to our CEO, Hassan Akrada, for all of his good work. I was saddened to see his letter that will be leaving us at the end of the year. I know that my 154,000 constituents in my district, but also in the entire city of San Diego, know that the leaps and bounds we've made since he joined us in 2018 are remarkable. Any of us who've been on our advocacy trips to Sacramento or Washington, or frankly anywhere in the world, know that when he brings his team into the room, Everyone's doing work every single second and it delivers. I remember before I was elected, he showed me the regional transportation plan and the 5 big moves, which I deeply believe in and which will improve our region incredibly. As President Kennedy once said before we were trying to go to the moon, we don't do these things because they're easy. We do them because they are hard. And so I want to applaud him for always trying to do the harder thing because it benefits us all, and his team for working so closely with me and my staff to make sure we could do that. And 2.5 years of being on transportation committee and half a year being here on the board, I'm deeply impressed and sad to see him go. Thank you very much, Hassan, for all your good work.
Thank you. Let's see from Vista. Melendez, yes.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for your comments and your updates. I wanted to share a few updates from Vista and celebrate some advancements that we've made in our local infrastructure projects. In much gratitude to our Congressman Mike Levin, who represents us in Vista. We have been interested in pursuing a grade separation at Vista Transit Center and Vista Village Drive. This would improve response times for first responders in this critical corridor. It would offer more efficient route for vehicle travel and also be safer for pedestrians and people who are rolling into our amazing downtown area. This also will assist in North County Transit District's goal to keep the goal for 15-minute headways for the Sprinter so that we can have more reliable connection between North County cities, and our grade separation would do just that. We were able to be supported with $2 million in federal funds to study the infrastructure advancement. And this is a grade separation is expected to cost, I would expect, over tens of millions of dollars. And so this is an opportunity for us to study the feasibility of a grade separation in this critical corridor and really assist in a regional improvement to that transportation system. So I'm really happy of the partnership between the City of Vista and our congressmen, and looking forward to more partnerships regionally between SANDAG, North County Transit District, and ensuring that this project is successful and beneficial for the region. Congressman Levin was also able to support the City of Vista with $850,000 for the Emerald Drive Complete Streets project. This is an essential active transportation improvement project that will complete a corridor to benefit neighborhoods in Vista as well as the city of Oceanside, as it is on the border. I've been a very vocal advocate of this project, and this federal funding will assist in our design phase to truly produce a shovel-ready project that will have regional impacts. So I wanted to share that with all of you and begin advocating in this next season for some amazing local projects that will improve our regional transportation system. And I really do agree that transportation is never easy, but when we work together, it can be. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you. Councilmember Molina.
Thank you. Briefly, I just want to say to Mr. Ekrada, thank you very much for all of your leadership, the remarkable vision that you brought to us. I have heard from many people the sadness in losing you, so thank you very much. And I just briefly want to mention in National City, we will be having a ribbon cutting on something called Frank, which is free rides around National City. This is, these are mini transportation. I think they're like 12 passenger cedar vans, and it's going to have a ribbon cutting this week. We had a soft launch over the Labor Day holiday. This is one of the solutions to that last mile problem. It loops around several of the busy areas in National City so that individuals can ride it and get to where they need to go. And I want to thank APCD, Port of San Diego, and SANDAG for all of the support in kicking this off. And we are looking forward to more solutions of this type. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Edson, sorry.
Thank you. I just wanted to take a moment to thank NCTD's now retired Executive Director and CEO, Matt Tucker, for his nearly 15 years of service to the district and to our region. Throughout his career, Matt has been a champion for public transit and a strong and steady leader at NCTD. He came on board at a critical time and guided the district through a litany of challenges. I've had the pleasure of serving with Matt at the helm for 7 years. And as he retires for public service and begins an exciting new chapter, I hope that you'll join me in wishing Matt Tucker the best of luck. Part 2 of my announcement is to welcome another public transit legend, Paul Ballard, as NCTD's interim executive director. Thanks.
Thank you. Supervisor Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just publicly wanted to thank Hassan. He's done more for San Diego County and San Diego residents than any of his predecessors in repatriating our tax dollars from DC and Sacramento to our community through great projects. So thank you so much for all your hard work. I wish you the best moving forward. And kudos to Caltrans. I don't mind all the slowdown to get better freeways and better transportation. So thank you for your hard work.
Thank you. Councilmember Fisher.
Thanks, Chair. I just wanted to thank SANDAG staff. I had the opportunity to attend the 2025 regional plan public outreach in the South County, and they did an amazing job. You know, as I went there, I'd never been to the address, so I got there and I was expecting this very large thing because SANDAG does very large things, and it was very quaint and a little bit smaller than I expected, but the outreach was fantastic. The engagement was even better. So big thanks to SANDAG staff for engaging the community and making sure that their voices are heard. I spoke to a few people who had attended, and they were grateful, not only for the information, but for the ability to ask questions and have those questions answered in real time. So big thanks to SANDAG staff.
Thank you. All right, with that, we're going to go ahead and move on to the consent agenda. I'm going to turn it over to public comment.
Thank you, Chairwoman. I would also like to make note that the executive committee amended the item for PAC actions, Policy Advisory Committee actions during its meeting this morning. So when you vote on the consent agenda, you'll be voting on some amendment to the September 22nd agenda to add some additional items. And our public speakers on this item, the first is Truth. Please come to the podium.
Oh, look at that. Just accidentally pledged. Oh. Item 3, no to over $2.3 million for public propaganda to convince people to give up their cars, most of which goes to salaries and benefits. Item 4, highlights from the audit, quote, invoices are missing. Itemized breakdown of work performed, not required for invoice payment. Insufficient requirements to qualify as a project manager. Clearly report on actual progress and outcomes against promises with the taxpayer's investment. Inform the public on Transnet, end quote. I've learned more about Transnet from Alan C. than from SANDAG. But the real audit corrective action plan would be for Hassan to resign immediately. The cost outweighs the supposed benefit. Item 5. Who's ready for me to be a public member on the audit committee? Nah, I'm just kidding. I don't have the right qualifications. Lucky bad guys. But Nora's county subordinate, Ebony Shelton, is way too much conflict of interest. And item 7, a $1 million EPA grant will go to VMT reduction projects in Region 9, and over half of that will go to salaries and benefits for the planet.
Thank you. Our next public speaker, Karina Contreras, please come to the podium.
Hello, Chair, board members. My name is Karina Contreras. I'm here in my capacity as Transportation Policy Advocate for Climate Action Campaign. And I want to speak on item 7 on the consent. First, I want to congratulate you for a $1 million EPA award. But this is just a drop in the bucket. There are billions of dollars out there. And just north of here in LA, there is the Los Angeles Regional Collaborative for Climate Action and Sustainability. And there are 2 other such collaboratives in California. Right now is the right time for SANDAG to have a climate readiness table so that we can actually work in a collaborative fashion, whether it's from Santee to Solana Beach, Imperial Beach to Vista or San Marcos to San Diego. All of us in our jurisdictions, the different transit agencies, and many different stakeholders, different CBOs, different industry professionals, we can all work together to get those millions of
Your time has
dollars.
expired. I want to remind the virtual speakers that we are on the consent agenda. If your hand is raised for the consent agenda, please leave it up. Our first speaker is Blair Beekman. Please go ahead.
Hi, Blair Beekman here. As part of consent agenda, I was hoping I could speak on to in thanking the previous CEO for his years of service. If that's possible at this time. Just a thank you as well for myself. It's been interesting. I think we're going to have some important, interesting challenges in addressing things like the upcoming blue line, the upcoming purple line. And with that, what may be of interest is the concepts of the technology that will be involved in such projects and the use of technology. It's not just the technology itself anymore. We have to really want to practice how to be accountable and open with the technology we're using and sharing with the public and community. Good luck in learning that process to make it a more open process. And just an overall thank you in the work that you do at the international level at the border. It's amazing work. I've been amazingly impressed what you do. So thanks for all the work of the CEO and good luck to our future. Thank you.
Thank you. The additional 3 remaining public speakers is the phone number 415, who will be followed by the original draw. 415, please go ahead.
Good morning. This is Paula Bold. The Audit Committee has found numerous really bad errors, contracts not signed, improper expenses everywhere. Your incoming CEO has to do a lot better. And frankly, I wish a lot of other people were leaving besides the old CEO. Let me add, Tracy Martinez mentioned outreach. I was at the same Del Mar event. I was very disappointed that there was no actual public back and forth where people could share and hopefully gain ideas and people would gain knowledge. Also, Joe Anderson mentioned repatriating tax dollars.
Your time expired. Our next public speaker, the original draw, who will be followed by the final speaker on this item, phone number 813. Original draw, please go ahead.
So how many of you guys know you're going to be voting on an amended item that just got amended this morning? And did you guys have enough time to look at that? Probably not, but that's okay. Because does it really matter? Because you got to vote a certain way anyway. So it's like, who cares? Just put whatever in there. You can change it even just before I vote as well. And I don't need to know what's in it. Yeah, I don't know why all these people are like, propping up Hassan here when it's all of the shenanigans and corruption going on. So it's just so funny that people love to just in lockstep. Oh, you're so great. Oh my gosh, let me just, lick your butthole. And yeah, so in the fact that you, Nora, get to decide who you appoint and then you appoint chairs and stuff like that is very disturbing because you will never have actual public members come in and be able to be a part of anything because it's always going to be quid pro quo, right? And like whoever pats your back and works for you already. And, you love to change construction contracts to expedite the process. Oh, well, you still do things to, hinder the process. But yeah, good job.
Your time expired. Our final public speaker, phone number 813, please go ahead. You are self-muted. Here you go.
Consuelo.
Let's see, Hassan, the SANDAG agency is well respected. Really? It's not even known with the public. Nobody knows you guys even exist. And quite frankly, the people who do know you exist don't like you. So sayonara, Ikarata. And let's see, what else do I have? Gosh, Rebecca, I'm sorry you got that nanosecond of a response from Vargas. That was lame. Welcome to our world, the peasants. What else do I have? Let's see. Yep, 63-year-old bridges. There are roads that are thousands of years old in this world, but yet American roads seem to just fall apart within a decade or so. Great job. Let's see what else. Yeah, to the brother who wants his road paved, their mission is to get us off the roads and into 15-minute cities. So
Your time expired. That concludes the public comments on this item.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and open up to board member comments. And in my comments, I will share what we're doing around specifically with the EPA grant. But I'm going to first ask my colleagues, Mayor from the Mangrove, Raquel Vasquez.
I actually pushed the button earlier for member comments, but go ahead. Well, Hassan
We'll make
actually
an
walked out
adjustment
of the
since
room.
somehow you missed it. I'm sorry.
Hassan walked out of the room. So,
Okay. Okay.
But in addition to making comments about Hassan, I'll hold that for later. I wanted to mention that on Tuesday of this week, my city council voted unanimously to approve a contract for a very important project. It's a linear park that will connect our 2 trolley stops. And this particular project has been in development for a very long time. And it was SANDAG that was a catalyst for ensuring that we could move forward with the project. So I want to take this opportunity to thank SANDAG for investing in Lemon Grove. The one thing that we know is that we do need more park space, more space for people to walk, more space for people to bike, and more space to build those connections, those trolley connections within our city. So I wanted to say that. Now that Hassan is back, I would like to say this, and I'll speak from the heart. I just want to let you know that I appreciate you and all that you have done to bring us where we are today. My first interaction with you was when we had our retreat. And the theme at that time, it was the 5 big moves, big, bold moves. And it was an opportunity for us as leaders to think big, to think bold, and to think about what could be. And while I know that the journey that we've all been on for the past 5 years has not been easy, it's definitely a journey that we needed to take. I only see a bigger and brighter future for transportation in San Diego County, building the connections that we need. And this is the one thing that I will always say, it is important to make sure that we measure our accomplishments based on time, because the real value in life is the time that we share on this earth, the time that it takes us to use our transportation to get from one space to another. And I believe we should be working towards ensuring that each and every person, no matter if you take public transportation or you're driving a vehicle, you can get to where you need to go in an hour or less. And if we stay focused on that, then I think this board and SANDAG can be successful. So thank you for being the catalyst for change and inspiring us to think outside of the box.
Thank you. I'm going to ask Tessa to go ahead and read the amendments just so that everybody understands what the changes were. I think everybody has them, right? Because the changes were made, but why don't we go ahead and do that? If not, I mean, I know them by heart. So one of them was a resolution by the mayor of Lemon Grove, specifically related to health care index in our regional plan, right? Am I correct for a resolution on that? And then there was also a SANDAG. I'm asking for a Tijuana River Valley resolution specifically because of the impact that it has on our communities. And the third one was making sure that we remove the regional road user charge in the 2025 update. Are you impressed? Ah, there you go. Those are the three amendments. And then in addition to that, I just want to highlight for my comments is that the budget amendment included as part of item number 7. The budget amendment, sorry, was item number 7 because staff was successful in actually securing the EPA grant that was talked about. So our region is going to be able to do the planning that we need so that all of our cities, county and SANDAG has the ability to compete for almost about $5 billion in new federal funding to take local action to reduce greenhouse emissions. So the grant is going to enable SANDAG to prepare a regional climate action plan as part of our regional plan. And we're going to go ahead and help create a regional climate readiness table so that that jurisdiction can apply together to bring federal funding for the region. I know some of the smaller cities, this would take a lot of their time to be able to do this. So I think this is a perfect opportunity for SANDAG. And so with that, I'm excited that we have another opportunity. Thank our team for another successful grant. So with that, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Please, yes, ma'am.
I have an item that I'd like to pull.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, are these working or?
Yes, so when, I don't know, they were working before, I called on everybody. And then all of a sudden, now there's a whole bunch of folks here. So if you want, just a reminder, if you want to speak, just do it immediately at the beginning. And if something happens, just raise your hand. So go ahead.
Well, I think our concern was to pull the item. We needed to wait. So.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Well, I want to pull item number 3.
And I would like to pull item number 8.
And I'd like to pull item number 7.
3, 4, and 7?
3, 7, and 8.
Okay, with that, we have a motion and a second. Please vote. So for some reason, the voting is happening on here. It should happen on there.
Rebecca.
Oh, I did push it. I promise. My apologies. Said it received it too.
The motion on the remainder of the consent agenda passes unanimously with those members present.
So I'm going to go ahead and take those consent items. Item number 3, 7, and 8. Item number 3, please.
Okay, thank you, Chair. So I had one question, well, they're both, I guess, questions. So on this item, we are increasing the budget for $607,000 for salaries, benefits, and indirect costs, and then also 1.3, roughly 1.297, 265,000 for consultants, and there's no information as to what those costs actually are. And one of the things that I have been talking about, and actually when SANDAG staff came and met with me this week, we spoke about this, and that is we really need to have, I think, strategies that will help with our traffic, of course. And one of those would be a 15 South BRT with Riverside. So if we're spending all of this money on consultants and staff time, I'm hoping that we would be able to look into something that will help with a meaningful solution to reduce traffic wait times from Riverside. And if we could talk to Riverside about this and come up with something, that would be great, and spend some of our staff time on this.
Okay.
All right. That's it.
Thank you. And so just a reminder, you can talk about an item without having to pull it and then have a discussion. And unless you're going to make a change to the item, I mean, so for in the future, feel free to identify the item, speak to it, and then we can have a conversation. So is there a motion to approve item number 3?
So
there a second?
could we talk about that? Could we actually have some discussions on the 15 on that?
Well, I'm assuming, so I apologize. So
That's okay.
because you just requested it, I'm assuming staff is going to be taking the comments, and so we move forward with it. Yeah.
Okay, I
Do you
just
want
want
me
to
to be
make
more
sure.
explicit? I
it's-
can be more explicit. I just.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're in agreement that that would be something that we could be working on, because I think it would be very meaningful for our region. And with that, I would make a motion to approve. I don't know. if
Yeah, there's a
someone else
motion
did.
and a second.
Okay.
Please vote.
Chair. Just real quick, if I can make a comment on that, that might be a great item for our Borders Committee to take up.
Okay. I just don't, is that something that you're okay with, or do you want to be part of, do you want the Borders Committee to have a conversation about it?
Well, I
And-
just want to make make sure that discussion's happening. And I
Somewhere.
did mention to staff already that I do have some support for it in North County from both Palomar Hospital and then also the university, CSU.
Okay, so why don't we have, we'll have staff connect with all of you, and then we'll figure out what the best process is. All right, fantastic. Item number 7.
Wait.
No, nobody voted? I thought they did. I mean, number 3.
Already did.
We did 3. We're now, we already voted on number 3. And then after we voted and it passed, the mayor had a question, and so I answered his question. But if you want me to go ahead and do 3 again, I'm paying attention. I promise you. Everybody else is confused, but we did item number 3. Yeah,
We already voted for.
we already voted for 3. The next item on the agenda is item number 7, but if you want me to do it again, I can do it again.
Okay, that motion was approved.
Yeah, and I think we're going a little fast sometimes for folks. So, all right, item number 7.
Yeah, 2 questions. Forgive me, my voice is going out here. This is to implement actions from the 2021 plan and support development of the 2025 plan. Does each plan have its own climate action plan, or is there one climate action plan that governs all the plans?
I'm going to turn it over to the team. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Susan Friedman. I'm the Climate Planning Manager in the Planning Department here. The 2021 plan and the previous 3 regional plans all have a regional greenhouse gas inventory and a forecast out to 2050. And then we, through what SANDAG does, is really looked at measures that reduced greenhouse gas emissions in the transportation sector. So we would be able to implement those elements as well as the policies and programs from the 2021 plan. There were 3 areas that were climate action planning support for local governments, climate adaptation and resilience planning for the region and supporting local governments, as well as clean transportation planning really focused on EV programs. So that's all going to be helped out through this.
Understood. And then for contracted services is $394,000. Is it typical for the majority of the funds to go to administrative costs?
The services are going to be, we're going to do a combination of actually building staff capacity to be doing the work ourselves. So more than just administration of it, but actually writing the materials, doing research and analysis. And then we're being supported by the University of San Diego's Energy Policy Initiative Center. And then the other services that are contracted are to support our local community-based organizations for the first time in funding climate support and engagement.
Okay. Thank you. That answers my questions.
Anything else? Would you like to make a motion, sir? Would you like to make a motion?
My motion would be to not approve this item.
Okay, is there a second?
Substitute motion to approve the item.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion. We had a motion, a substitute motion. So we'll vote on the substitute motion first. Please vote. On a substitute motion on item 7, which is to approve item number 7. Am I correct, legal counsel? Hold on.
The initial motion never received a second, so it died.
Yes.
So what you're voting on is actually a primary motion.
Okay, we're good.
I thought I heard a second.
There was no second. There was a motion.
Was it a-
There was a substitute motion, a second from Councilmember Chu. So you're welcome to vote no if you don't want this to pass. Item is before you. Okay.
Item number 7, motion passes with 2 noes and the remainder yeses of those members present.
All right. The next item on the agenda that was pulled was item number 8. Councilmember?
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is a request for approval of a $12 million change order on the consent calendar, which is a big number in my opinion. So I believe this is, the Mid-Coast Trolley was the largest Transnet expenditure in the last 10 years and has been operating almost 2 years. And I think the total reported cost was 2.17 billion. Okay, half of Transnet dollars. So I'm just making a request of staff to report on how the new segment is performing relative to the overall Blue Line and Blue Line segment between downtown and the San Diego southern border. You know, I want to know, how is the project meeting performance objectives and goals? And I think, Chair, with that comment, I would recommend the approval of the item with a condition for staff to provide a report within about 4 months based on our calendar meeting on the performance of the Mid-Coast Trolley with onboarding and offboarding statistics and the overall Blue Line performance. I think this will help us with discussions moving forward about our 2025 regional planning effort.
And just for clarification, you want performance for this year, for this budget year, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please vote.
I don't think my thing's working.
It's okay. You
I'm
can
so
go ahead and
sorry.
give a comment, ma'am.
Okay, I had sent a text over yesterday asking for the initial cost of the Mid-Coast, and I was given a number of 2.171 billion as a total project budget. When I asked, I said the initial cost. I actually, just as I was sitting here, found an article in the Voice of San Diego back from 2017 saying that it was 1.24 billion. So I know for sure it wasn't 2.1 billion. I just think when we ask for initial costs, we're trying to figure out what those increases are. So when we say things are on time and on budget, just because we've revised the actual budget doesn't mean that's how much we were intending to spend on that. So anyway, the money has to come from somewhere else, which is coming from another project. So anyway, I just wanted to make that comment. Thank you very much.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please vote.
The motion on item number 8 passes unanimously with those members present.
Thank you very much. All right, the next item will be moving to our closed session items. I'm going to ask Tessa if we have any public comments on items 12 to 14 before we ask folks to transition into closed session.
Thank you, Chairwoman. I have public comment from Truth on items 12, 13, and 14. Please come to the podium.
Okay, did anyone notice that agency update? We don't get to talk about it anymore. It was my favorite item. Let's see, Hassan, taxpayer funded expensive lunches, credit card extravaganzas, and little tantrums while making about $580,000 above his pay scale. Here's my concern. A bunch of people here approved of Hassan to begin with. You're either bad judges of character or you're part of the problem. Here are a few of their names who voted in Hassan at over $414,000 a year. Steve Voss, Raquel Vasquez, Richard Bailey, Steve Goebel, Jim Desmond, and CPS's Pam Derby. And Hassan's, oh wait, shame, let me say that word. And Hassan's resignation was a timing tactic, just like Nathan Fletcher. The August SANDAG meetings were canceled. The audit exposed fraud. The process for choosing the new auditor has been rigged, full of bias and conflict of interest. And then there's the dreaded performance evaluation. You don't want to face that because, you know, this is.
I call it political yes, frankly.
Yeah, that's his opinion. But I looked at the audit and I saw something different. I saw reality.
Your time has expired. I have 3 remaining public commenters on the closed session items, number 12, 13, and 14. Virtual commenter, original draw, please go ahead.
First of all, I thought you were going to see 11 before you went to this, but the last time you did all this closed session BS, you made people wait for over 3 hours just to do public comment at the end. And it's quite ridiculous, but everything that you guys are doing is being exposed. And it's just, you know, really sad that you guys sit up there and you're like touting this man who has done great job at destroying things. And you guys act like, oh, you're so great for doing that. Everything that is going on in this is fraudulent, malicious, and it's totally corrupt because you guys are using the people's money to go against them and do things to put them in slavery, basically, all while engaging with an entity that has no cares about the United States, actually wants to enslave them. So, you know, as we continue down this path and as you're touting this person, as you're going to put in whoever you want to be the CEO, who will again do the same shit, it's rather ridiculous. So, you know, you need to quit making people wait like you're.
Your time expired. Our next public commenter, phone number 813, will be followed by the final commenter, Barbara Davis. 813, please go ahead.
Okay, Consuelo here. So 12, 13, 14. Okay, I'm curious. I'm curious to know if the people there in-house regarding the climate change, are you guys also concerned with the skies being sprayed with chemicals? Are you just there for the concerns of what government wants you to be concerned with? Because if you look up, there's a lot of shit happening up there. Let's see what else regarding what you, let's see, 12, 13, 14. Let me see, hold on. It's the right time. Yes, Hassan, it is the right time for you to leave because the people under you, the people who serve the public, who don't have, I mean, I'm assuming they don't have a clue of what you guys are really up to, and they do a great job. Some of these people I know personally, and I'm sorry that you guys are being misled, but yeah, people are waking up. Let's see. Oh yeah, and the oldest road ever is 4,000 years old. Paved, yeah, first paved road. But yeah, let's get that right.
Your time expired. Our final public speaker on closed session items, Barbara Davis, please go ahead.
I would like to ask an explanation for your contradictory actions. During your ice cream social at Del Mar City Hall on September 30th, you presented a multitude of train routes for the staggering $4 billion project. Yet on May 16th at the Senate Transportation Committee, you conveniently advocated for tunneling as the sole option only, mentioning routes under the hillside and Camino Del Mar. What's more, when I dared to question the feasibility of an above ground option through the Torrey Preserve, your staff declared that they had already decided.
Ma'am, our chairwoman has expressed that you're not speaking on the closed session items. This is the time to speak on closed session items. If you have comments on closed session items, please go ahead. Otherwise, we will take you at the end of the meeting with non-agenda. And you are self-muted.
Mute. Oh. Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Do you have comments on?
I do. I'm interested in understanding why at your ice cream social, I'm sorry, on September 30th, you present.
Just go ahead and come back after when we're in public comment and not on these items. Thank you very much.
That concludes the public comments.
Thank you. All right, so with that, I'm going to ask everyone who does not need to be here for our closed session items, so please exit the room. We will reconvene after we share any reportable actions and take up the balance of the agenda.
How long did you stay?
11 years.
Oh, you,
I know. I just started to get figured out.
you figured it out.
No, I said I was just starting to start to figure it out. I thought, oh, that's what, you don't know what you're doing for first 5, and then at 10, you get comfortable a little bit. Yeah.
No, it's a little bit different in a really big city because we got guys work divisions that were smaller than your city.
Yeah.
And so it takes them a while to kind of figure it out. But like where I was at, I'm in the heart of like downtown. They actually have a walking beat there, so I mean, the learning curve is really quick. I mean, and I have that walking guy. My partner and I, we average 20 arrests a day. Sometimes about 5 felonies. So everything from, assaults to drugs to you name it, to urinating.
Now they're getting 5 felonies a year at most.
Oh, I know.
I would get.
Because you get to do whatever you want to do now.
We were getting that many for a bit, not 20.
All right, we are back in open session. I will call on Ms. Lowe for any reportable actions.
Right, the board met in closed session on agenda items number 12, 13, and 14, and there's no reportable action.
And 15. Oh, no, 14, sorry.
So just
You're good.
12, 13, and 14, and there's no reportable action. Thank you.
All right, the next item on our agenda today is to approve the terms of employment for our new independent performance auditor. I'd like to start by thanking the members of the audit committee and our recruiter, Pam Derby, for their time and effort they put into conducting the recruitment and finding excellent candidates for consideration. It was a very thorough process. I'm going to ask the second vice chair, Chair Huebner, and one of the members of the negotiating team to introduce this item. Mayor Huebner.
Thank you, Chair. I believe through that process that SANDAG has identified an excellent candidate for our next independent performance auditor. The audit committee recommended 2 finalist candidates, and the board made its selection after conducting interviews on July 20th. After that, the board also directed myself and Chair David Zito, who's the chair of the audit committee, to negotiate with the selected candidate. Our final step in this process today is to approve the terms and conditions of the agreement, and Pam Derby is going to review those in just a few minutes. Before that, I think Chair Zito might have some remarks that he'd like to share.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Huebner. Just on behalf of the audit committee, I just wanted to state that this has been a really thorough and robust process. I think I'd also like to thank public members Monson and Halpern for working on a subcommittee. They went through the resumes of the 35 applicants, and we had a very robust applicant pool. Of the 35 applicants, 5 were considered for interviews by the full audit committee, and then 2 were forwarded on to the board, as you would recall. I think Pam would agree that the process that we went through is probably as robust as ever been done. And so we feel quite confident about the candidate that has been chosen. I appreciate the opportunity to participate in the process, and I think the terms of the employment agreement that you see in front of you are consistent with your direction and the qualifications and experience of the candidate that's been selected. So with that, thanks for that, and I'll ask Pam to review the details.
Thank you, Chair Zito. The information I'll be reviewing is included in the attachment to the report distributed for this item. If approved by the board, the following terms and conditions will be incorporated into an at-will employment executive agreement for the candidate. The candidate would be employed as SANDAG Independent Performance Auditor beginning on Monday, November 13th, 2023, for a period of 3 years with an automatic renewal for another 3-year term at the end of the initial contract period, unless notice is given by either party 120 days prior to the contract end date of the intent not to renew. Further, the candidate would be required to provide 120 days notice of her intent to resign from her position. The candidate would work a flexible 4-10 schedule whereby she will be in the office Tuesday through Friday each week and off work every Monday. This schedule would not start immediately and would be coordinated with the chair of the audit committee. It is proposed the candidate would have an annual salary of $256,446. The candidate's performance would be formally evaluated by the audit committee each year, and she may receive a salary increase based on the results of the annual review. Any adjustment to base salary would be entirely at the board's discretion. The benefits to be provided would be similar to those offered to SANDAG's other executives and for some items equivalent to the CEO. These are also comparable to many other agencies. These include participation in the CalPERS pension plan, a management benefit equivalent to 2.5% of the candidate's annual salary, a cell phone allowance of $110 per month, a monthly contribution to premiums for health, dental, and vision insurance, 12 observed and 2 floating holidays, 28 days of paid time off, known as PTO annually. Premiums for disability and life insurance would be fully paid, and access to an executive health program. The independent performance auditor's employment would be at will, but if termination is not for cause, the independent performance auditor would receive a severance payment equal to 6 months of her base salary. The candidate would receive $20,000 as a relocation allowance to offset the cost of moving from the Bay Area to San Diego. The candidate is also eligible to receive up to $7,000 each year for professional development activities such as continuing education, memberships, and certifications. At this time, I would like to turn things back to the chair and I'd be happy to answer any questions regarding these terms and conditions.
Thank you very much. I want to thank you, Pam, for everything that you've done publicly. And I'm also going to ask, I also want to take, I'm going to take the public and board member comments in a minute, but I just wanted to say again, thank you to the first vice chair, to Chair Cito for negotiating on behalf of the board. And then I also want to acknowledge the many of the terms offered to our candidate are similar to those in the agreement with our current IPA. And so one of the items that I think is different is, well, not that I think, that I know is different, is the employment terms for 3 years. And then as the recruitment got underway earlier this year, we discussed the fact that a longer term might be needed to attract top quality candidates. So I want to make sure, again, that I thank everyone that participated, including Councilmember Luz Molina in the process. It was a very thorough process, and I really appreciate that because it's exactly what we need to be doing. With that, I am going to turn it over to public comment.
I have 2 public commenters on this item. The first is Truth. Please go to the podium.
Unlike SANDAG, I bring the FU to government since it already has the N for fun. Of course, this is truth. It's actually kind of ridiculous that we don't get to know anything concrete before making comments on who the potential new auditor is. But that's the type of 60 seconds that a fun discussion that I've come to expect here, and frankly, kind of enjoy the challenge. I do hope this new auditor will be as professional and determined as Mary has been. Everybody loves Mary, you know, especially if they're going to make over $256,000 a year to start and then $20,000 to move. But are they going to live in one of those stack and packs? I think that's important to know. Are they going to take public transit like we all do, right? Everybody here does, right? I know at least one does, but everyone should take it. I think the new auditor should have to take it. And you can live all the stories that I know about. I bet most of you have never, I'm starting to write them down because I got a book of stories what you could experience when you ride public transit. So that when just so you know, when I talk about it, I know exactly what I'm talking about. And fun fact, I think I already knew who the new auditor was.
Your time expired. Our next public speaker is virtual, phone number 813, will be followed by the final public speaker on this item, the original draw. 813, please go ahead.
Haha, dream on there, da. They're not going to take public transportation or be on a stack and pack. Verdad, that is truth in Spanish. Vargas loves speaking Spanish. Anyways, let's see. Thorough process. How thorough of a process was it, or is it? Are you guys asking them questions like if they're aware of the UN Agenda 2030? Are you asking questions like, are they members of the World Economic Forum? Have they ever been to Davos? Let's see, $256,000 plus they have the ability to get a raise, salary increase. Great. Okay, so what would that, like what quantifies, I mean, yeah, how do you guys determine that? What is the, yeah, how will you determine how they get a raise? Are they gonna like get raises for lying to the people? How is that done?
Your time expired. Our final public speaker, the original draw, please go ahead.
Oh, Consuelo, yes. I mean, see, that is what actually allows them to get the raise is when they are in bed with the globalist agenda to destroy everything. So it's like they can't, give them a whole lot of money beforehand. They need to do it, after they've seen how well that they are performing in lockstep. And so it's quite funny because it's like, we can't find anybody in San Diego. Why would we do that? I mean, this is a whole, right? Let's get someone from outside of there instead of just, and then we can just give them, the $20,000 more dollars on top of their $256,466 that they're getting, which is smart. But you know what? I was thinking, and like, this is something you guys could do too in the new building that you get. Why don't you just put your homes in there? It'll be like your office space will be your house, right? And then it's like you won't even need it. And then you're engaging with the agenda just in lockstep, and you don't even have to take any kind of transit. You don't even have to walk to work. You're just in work all the time. So it would behoove you to add a office space and home for that individual as well.
Thank you. Our final public speaker, the original draw, please go ahead.
That was her.
Oh, I'll speak again, sure.
Apologize.
None of them want that.
You're on this item.
What?
Member comments? I don't have any member comments on this time. Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion, and the motion would be that we approve the proposed salary, benefits, and other terms of employment for the independent performance auditor candidate selected by the board in closed session on July 20th, 2023, and authorize the chair to execute an employment agreement including such terms.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please vote.
That motion passes unanimously with those members present.
Okay, now that the board has approved the terms and conditions and authorized me to execute the employment agreement, I am pleased to announce that Courtney Ruby has been selected as SANDAG's next independent performance auditor and is expected to start in mid-November. Courtney is currently the elected city auditor for the city of Oakland, a role that she held for 8 years between 2007 and 2015, and again since the beginning of 2019. In addition to her auditing background, Courtney has experience in finance and administrative services and previously worked for ABAG and the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, SANDAG's counterpart in the Bay Area. As SANDAG's incoming IPA, Courtney will work closely with the audit committee to develop an annual work program, conduct reviews, and present findings and recommendations and support SANDAG in achieving effectiveness and efficiency in our program areas. So I want to congratulate Courtney. Thank you. You want to just stand up and wait? Okay. All right. There you go. Welcome to SANDAG. Everybody's really eager to work with you. All right. So our next item on the agenda is for today is our independent performance auditor's performance review results and the audit committee's recommended compensation adjustment. Chair Zito, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Chair. So as per the guidelines in Board Policy 39, the audit committee did the annual performance evaluation and salary adjustment recommendation for the period of April 2022 to April 2023. We just did that 12-month period. In order to do that, we set up a subcommittee consisting of public member Wong Nickerson and alternate member and alternate board member Musgrove. And I'd like to thank them for their work on this. It does involve a little bit of work. And they took the accomplishments that were provided by the IPA and evaluated them, and as well as performed a 360-degree survey evaluation and collected the results and presented them to the audit committee with a recommendation, which was that the performance of the independent performance auditor was above expectations and met all of the objectives for the year. And then with that, we arrived at a recommended compensation increase of 4% effective April of this year, based upon the anniversary hire date. That is in part during the audit committee. There was also a discussion that number was based upon the fact that the board approved compensation pool for this year was a 3% increase. And so since the performance was met or actually exceeded in some areas, that the committee made a choice of going with the 4% recommendation to the board. And that is what is before you today via unanimous vote of the audit committee. I would also like to add one thing that did come to light late a little bit is when the audit committee was discussing this. The information that was before us, because unfortunately the review was a little bit delayed in time. The information that was before us was that the maximum salary range of the auditor was $256,600 or roughly $257,000. So the 4% raise actually for the period of April, May, and part of June would have does put the IPA's salary above the maximum pay for range for that particular position as it's currently placed. So my request on behalf of the audit committee would be to, if you're so inclined to give the 4% raise as recommended by the audit committee, just to go ahead and do that, acknowledging it that for at least the first 2.5 months, that is above the top of the pay range. But as of June 19, when the new pay ranges took effect, it would be below the pay range. And then there would be a COLA applied after that as for the rest of, as done for every employee in the organization. So with that, I am here to answer any questions based upon what the audit committee review process was and have that for your consideration. Thanks.
Right, I'm gonna go ahead and have a public comment and then member comment.
Thank you. Our first public commenter on this item, Truth, please go to the podium.
It sounded like someone else is above their pay scale. No. Every SANDAG employee has already gotten a 2% cost of living inflation adjustment, and now Mary's going to get 6% retroactively applied, totaling extra $15,000 a year. Because everyone in government has been giving themselves a 4% increase at this point, like inflation clockwork. Nothing against Mary, her hard work, integrity, and tenacity. In fact, I've enjoyed reading her thorough recommendations and findings and very much enjoyed when she spoke it up in the face of lies. I believe that Mary's recommended a risk management department, but I'd argue SANDAG's entire existence is an organizational risk. And I have zero tolerance for its Frankenstein expansion to usurp local government. That's why I'm opposed to all salary increases. See, I'm very equitable, much more equitable than SANDAG. Government or government-like entities like SANDAG are not supposed to be six-figure careers to retire in. All of you in this room, don't ever forget you're living off the people's dime and you better represent them. Or if you don't, you're going to have to hear me speak more everywhere.
Your time expired. Our next public speaker, Blair Beekman, please go ahead. You are self-muted.
Oh, hi. Thank you. Blair Beekman here. I had a question, procedural question, point of procedure. My name was mentioned at the beginning of the meeting as part of public comment that will be taken at the end of the meeting. Have you had that public comment time yet? Is my question.
Not yet.
Thank you.
Our next public speaker is phone number 813, who will be followed by the final speaker, the original draw. 813, please go ahead. You are self-muted. There you go.
Thank you. I am, wow, not surprised. Somebody from Oakland. Wow, Courtney. Oakland is a third world freaking country. I used to take my kids every year to Fairy Tale Land. The police station windows and front doors are boarded. What the heck? What are you guys I mean, I know what you guys are doing. Please do yourselves a favor, the ones who don't know what's going on. Look up the UN Agenda 21, 2030, however, sorry, those are my kids. I homeschool because I will not send my kids to school. But anyways, yeah, this is insane. This is scary. It's like, holy crap, who did you guys bring in? Honestly, it's so disgusting and sad. I'm at a loss of words. It's so sad. There.
Thank you. Our final public speaker, the original draw, please go ahead.
Oh my gosh, you guys are just so good at what you do. You're just already giving raises. So good. Oh my gosh, it's hilarious. And yeah, from the Bay Area, it's like, let's take someone that's from a place that's been destroyed so they can come and help destroy it because, you know, as long as they audit it right, nobody's going to know what we're really doing. It's going to be so good. Man, oh, just love when you spend our money and, you know, it's just feels good. I mean, it feels good when people work so hard and you just like, you know, and they can't even get all of these perks, right? It's like, but we pay for other people to have all of these perks. It's so smart. I mean, right? It's so smart that the people literally bust their asses to, you know, just like feed their family and stuff like that. Can't even have their own health insurance. And some of them probably not even a cell phone or internet. But part of their money that they spend to, you know, supposedly make things better really just goes into people's pockets to make their lives better. It is fantastic. So good on you guys. Yeah.
Your time expired, and that concludes the public comments on this item.
All right, I don't see any member comments on the queue. Is there a motion to approve?
Second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Okay, it's okay. We got it.
And that motion passes with 1 no, 17 yeses.
Thank you. All right, so now the next item of the agenda is item number 11, and it's the next in our series of 2025 regional plan discussion. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Antoinette.
All right, good afternoon. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the recess. This is the 6th session that we're having on the regional plan. Today, we're focused on policies and programs. I know we often spend a lot of time thinking about the big projects in the regional plan, but the policies and programs are really important when it comes to meeting our goals and meeting the law and the requirements. But before we jump into policies and programs, I'll do a quick recap of what we've talked about to date. So in the spring, we introduced this with Regional Plan 101, where I talked about the laws, the requirements, the major components of a regional plan. Then in your next session, it was an interactive workshop where we specifically looked at our greenhouse gas emission reduction target for 2035, and you all worked to prioritize policy and project packages that would help us to achieve that target. The next session, we looked at equity, and you did a workshop adding additional projects that were related to equity to your maps. Then we talked about the financial plan, all of the requirements we have for the funding strategy for the regional plan, the types of funding that go into the regional plan, the importance of local funding to leverage federal and state funding, and you worked to fund the projects that you had prioritized to date. And then right before break, we did a data-driven planning session where you worked together, looked at some of the data that we look at, where people live, where they work, how they're traveling around the region, to finesse the projects that you had prioritized to date, and then provide feedback to staff on what your priorities were for your subregion. Okay, so this is a graphic that I introduced early on when we talked about our greenhouse gas emission target that CARB sets for us. It's a 19% per capita reduction from 2005 levels for 2035. And the key thing about this graphic is that it takes a lot of different policies and programs to get us to that target. The projects there are in the kind of fuchsia color, that 1.6% reduction, but most of the other things here are policies and programs. So they're really critical to achieving this target. It's things like our investments in electric vehicles. So you know that we can't take full credit for the transition to electric vehicles, but we have historically been able to take some credit for the investment that we make in charging infrastructure or incentives for electric vehicles. However, I do want to let you know that CARB let us know in August that they are updating their Sustainable Communities Strategies guidelines. They're going to release those sometime this month, and they're going to be changing the credit that regions get to take for investments in EV charging. This could be impactful to us. We don't know what those changes are yet, but I'll let you know as soon as we get the updated guidelines and have an understanding of what that might mean for the region. Other big reductions we get from pricing policies, this includes both incentives and fees. Incentives are things like the YOP program, when we have reduced costs, free transit. The fees are things like using the express lanes for a fee or parking pricing in specific areas. You'll see another big reduction that we get there is land use. So a lot of the changes you have all made to focus housing and job growth near transit options, providing people with access to more mobility options. And then there's little things like our transportation demand management program, telework, our investments in technology that also help us. Okay, so there are 10 policy and program categories that we're considering for the 2025 regional plan. These aren't new, they're from other regional plans as well, but the investments that we make underneath these different categories changes over time depending on priorities and initiatives. So for example, our role in housing changed a lot in the last couple of years with all of the funding that we got from the state to support affordable housing development. So you'll see more of an emphasis in housing under the housing and land use policy category. So these first 5 policies and programs are the ones that really do the most when it comes to reducing VMT and GHG. But we have other policies and programs that help us achieve our other goals related to public safety and equity, things like Vision Zero, which are really focused on traffic safety, the climate and a healthy community, so our habitat conservation program, our digital equity program, Fix It First, which is really about investing in our infrastructure and ensuring that it's safe and resilient. Okay, and I'll provide a few examples of how policies and projects work together. So I think many of you know that we've partnered with several cities in the region to implement flexible fleet pilot projects. Congratulations, National City, on launching Frank. Heard it's started off very successfully. Oceanside, we have a successful pilot in partnership with. The one I want to talk about here, though, is the Beach Bug, which is a flexible fleet service in the Pacific Beach community. This one's a little unique because the city of San Diego implemented priced parking in the PB community. That's helping them to really manage the parking demand and provide people with an alternative to driving by using the funding from their parking revenues to support the flexible fleet service. The service is also free for trips to and from the Balboa Avenue station, so the Mid-Coast trolley, and it's being well utilized for that purpose. So this is really helping to solve multiple problems in the PB community. All right, another example is managed lanes. So managed lanes that are free for van pools, carpools, transit really help to encourage the use of those modes. But in addition to that, we have a transportation demand management program where we provide an incentive for van pooling and ride sharing. So that's an additional incentive to ride share. And then the technology that we implement really helps to manage how that lane is used based on real-time conditions. And the I-15 is a good example of that. In fact, we have the majority of our van pools in our regional van pool program using that I-15 express lanes because they have the subsidy and it's a reliable trip. Okay, transit. There are a number of incentive programs and policies that can make transit more effective. We know that when transit's fast and frequent, people use it more. So increasing frequencies, implementing technology solutions like transit signal priority, focusing housing and job growth near transit, and of course, incentives like our Youth Opportunity Pass program or our Tri-Transit program through our TDM program all help to get transit ridership up. So there's been a lot of tangible benefits to the region from the policies and programs in the regional plan. I'll highlight a few. Just mentioned the YOP program. That's tripled youth ridership on transit in the region. So very successful program. Our EV and charger incentive program has resulted in almost 1,000 new chargers in the region in the last just a couple of years. We have almost 400 van pools in the region now with our van pool incentive program. We've distributed over $60 million in funding through our Smart Growth Incentive Program to local jurisdictions. And then our Environmental Mitigation Program has preserved over 9,000 acres of land in the region. So just a sampling of how some of these policies and programs that are in the regional plans come to life. So with that, we don't have a workshop today. Today is really just an overview, and I'll hand it back to the chair so that we can have a discussion and I can answer any questions that you might have.
Fantastic. I'm going to turn it over to public comment first, and then we'll have a member comment. In the meantime, there's some stuff that you all can have.
I have two in-person public commenters on item 11. Truth, please go to the podium.
All right, if SANDAG really has goals for communities with equity, safety, and health, then why are there inequitable parking fees and highway tolls? And where is Fix It First for the broken streets and dangerous highways? And why is there lack of safety on the trolleys? And why is SANDAG obsessed with housing near GHG congested city centers rather than supporting rural farmers growing organic crops? And why does SANDAG push toxic 5G radiation for connected cars and infrastructure? Of course, I know the answer. It's UN Agenda 2030 control, which happens because compromisers and traders alike sell out the country for monopoly money. And you see, I've even got a state and federal dollar. I can see some of the drool on your mouths. But here's my idea. Throw out the plan. They're going to replace all the Snell 25-mile-per-hour trolleys with Japanese bullet trains. That's still cheaper than use of sustainable slime green bike lanes and more convincing. But, you know, here's actually what I think of the regional plan, just like that. Junk. And it, you know what? It's hard to rip, but it can't be recycled either. But if anyone wants to know, that was actually just my Michael Brando impression. I'm not really mad, but monopoly money.
Your
That's all that
time
matters.
expired. Our next speaker is Michael Brando, who will be followed by our first virtual speaker, phone number 813.
I didn't bring anything to tear up. I wish I had, though, because this plan, just the whole underlying assumptions that it's based on are lies. It's robust disinformation, misinformation, and lies. You know, if you were really interested in educating the public, why wouldn't you take out lots of programming time on television in our local area and advertise your meetings and tell everyone, the 3.38 million people who live in this area, what you are up to and educate them about what's going on? Wouldn't that be interesting if people actually knew what is going on? Because they don't. They don't even know this organization exists. Hassan, you said that this is a well-respected agency. I don't know who you're talking about because most people have no clue that you even exist. How interesting is that? Lots of interesting things go on, but consider that.
Our next speaker will be virtual, phone number 813. I have 5 additional speakers after that. 813 will be followed by Alan C. Phone number 813, please go ahead. You are self-muted.
Finessing projects, really? You are all in the business to destroy, not finesse anything in this county. The change is to only have the people be entirely dependent and in line with government. You sell equity, safety, sustainability. You test things on the poorest and the most clueless demographics like National City, the ones who are entirely unaware of what government does unless it comes with a free fucking donut or a free phone. If people aren't angry, they're not paying attention. And you all are frankly mad for going along with all of this. I'm done.
Our next speaker, Alan C., will be followed by phone number 899. Alan, please go ahead.
Hello, mic check. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Yeah, concerning the managed lanes, although we were promised road lanes for everybody, I would like to point out Palomar exit on 805 South, actually 805 North, when the buses come on to the freeway ramp. Millions of dollars spent to actually have the bus merge into the freeway on the fast lane. Yet you got that bus on shoulder program on the right-hand side of the freeway. So you telling me that bus is supposed to safely move during rush hour from the fast lane, left side, all the way to the right lane on the right side, and he can't even fit on the emergency lane. Shut down the bus and shoulder program now. It's a safety hazard, and you guys just playing your climate with our lives. Oh, and also, I haven't seen it, but as a mileage tax, which probably is it on this new plan? It still has not been removed, the old plan. So many voters, both sides out, do not want the mileage tax. From the tax is also privacy. You will lose on that. Remove it now, please. I yield back.
Our next speaker, phone number 899, will be followed by the original draw. Phone number 899, go ahead, please.
Hi, Mary Davis here. First, I'm asking you to publicly commit to absolutely no road charge in this 2025 plan. The aspirational model is telematics, which makes it a mass surveillance system. So aside from the money and the onerous burden on already beleaguered California taxpayers, no to any road charge, and make sure you put in there, articulate that there will not be a road charge in this plan. Next, for digital equity, you mentioned technology and connectivity are an important part of how we manage the transportation system. What we're really talking again is laying the groundwork for more surveillance and telematics. I grew suspicious after I learned they repaid I-8 to Yuma. And then they also added fiber optic cable. That was surprising to me because the only thing that East County normally gets is sexually violent predators. People need to be aware of this new telematics and that the tracking surveillance will be in play. Lastly, the pricing strategies where you say that you want people to pay to drive for the.
Your time expired. Our next speaker, the original draw, will be followed by phone number 415. Original draw, go ahead. One moment. There you go. Go ahead, please.
All right. So, yeah, I'd like, oh, you got two of us on there. Why don't you take him first? Hello?
No.
What's going on?
Please go ahead.
Can you start my time over, please? Thanks. Yeah, so I'd like to give this propaganda update from the UN, a warm handoff into the trash. And the reason that they're saying that this board is well respected is because it's people like the UN and the globalists who are realizing that they're in lockstep and doing everything to destroy this place. And all while touting like, we're doing this, we're so great at what we do. You know what you're doing? You're putting people and incentivizing them to get electric vehicles and put people on electric buses with these lithium batteries that not only are they toxic to the environment, but you know what? They're like bombs. And so they just blow up. It's so great, right? I mean, because imagine if there's like a pileup in the freeway, oh my gosh, it'll just be bomb after bomb after bomb after bomb. And then you have these buses next to each other, right? And one explodes and the next explodes and the next. I mean, it's so smart, right? And we don't even have firefighters that could put that out, right? Because you can't even put one of them out. So, I mean, good on you for like claiming that shit. So, I mean, like you guys are claiming right now that you're destroying everything. So wait till the day comes because you're not going to be able to.
Your time expired. Our next speaker, phone number 415, please go ahead. You are self-muted.
Hi, Paula Bold. Congratulations to the new CEO. I hope he does his reading. For instance, which GHGs to prioritize, the risks of electric vehicles, there are a lot. Which roads last longer, options for actually making transit that's rapid. And may I remind him that SANDAG is transportation planning, not urban planning. It's also, as one of the speakers mentioned, good at repatriating tax that is from our pockets to various scams. Stay away from this. You need to improve outreach, get ideas from everyone in a meeting so that everyone gains. I went to some community forums. They did not really make much of an effort.
Your time expired. Our final public speaker, Blair Beekman, please go ahead.
Hi, Blair Beekman. Thanks a lot for this item. To speak to items taking place in 2025, I think that's awesome. Thank you. immensely for being able to do that. You gave a pretty clear signs of things you're working on, and you got some pretty clear feelings back on how to work on these things. And I hope can be a real good process of negotiation and dialogue and understanding to better develop these concepts. And where people are UN angry, you can really take to heart what they're saying and make changes. I spoke at executive committee today, my anger towards natural disaster capitalism practices. I think we're really learning some important lessons in California in our future planning to not do those sort of things. And hopefully Hawaii is learning that. Hopefully we can take those lessons to heart and work together as a community to really make UN ideas our own and that are safe for all of us. And all parts of the community can have input. And that's key and important. You know my feelings.
Your time expired. That concludes the public comments.
Great, thank you. It is now time for board member comments, and I see Mayor Jones is up first.
Thank you so much. Just a couple of comments that I want to make. First of all, and thank you for the presentation. And again, thank you so much for meeting with me with Caltrans. I really appreciated that, Antoinette. So two things that I want to bring up. The first one is actually it was in one of our previous items, and that was talking about the audit and our Transnet triennial performance audit. It's a pending item that it says SANDAG intends to comply with. The recommendation is to clearly identify whether the remaining Transnet extension ordinance, sorry, I have to use my handy dandy magnifier, projects will be part of the 21 regional transportation plan before the SANDAG board approves the 21 plan, which already happened, and provide a similar identification for any changes in future regional transportation plans. I think we need to, in the 25 update, we need to definitely address that head on because it's been very ambiguous and we need to get that done because those were promises that we made to the residents of San Diego County when they voted to tax themselves. And then the second part or the second question that so I'd like clarification on that when this, as this moves forward. And then on the pricing strategies, I brought this up to Ray and Colleen the other day. I'm adamantly opposed to converting roads to toll roads. And so one of the biggest issues that I had all along during the creation of the regional plan was that we didn't have options. So what are the other options that we would have rather than taking roads that are currently already there today and converting them to a toll road or a managed lane, whatever you want to call it. But I am opposed to those two things. So to have clarification, and then I already talked about the 2025 update as far as the regional road user charge, so I don't have to go into that again. Anyway, thank you.
Would you like to respond?
I don't know if you were looking for a particular response right now, but I wanted to, I think, to have further information on that in future discussions. Is that correct, Mayor Jones?
Yes, and I just took a chip in my mouth. Yes, I just wanted to lodge what I would like to see moving forward. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Councilmember Chavez.
Thank you. I'd like to extend my gratitude to staff for their meticulous work on the 2025 regional plan. As we delve into the policies and programs we will focus on, I have a suggestion on behalf of MTS, specifically the transportation technology and operational improvements portion of the staff report. Given the vital role that improved transit levels of service plays in our community and transportation system, MTS suggests that it be given its own standalone category. This recommendation aligns with the regional plan's goals to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. A key component of that reduction will come from providing reliable, high-quality transit options that residents can choose over driving. I commend the staff for including this priority in the report. Our aim is to underscore its significance for MTS with the hope that the levels of service are not overshadowed while contained within other broad points. I kindly request that this be taken into consideration as we continue to refine the plan over the next 2 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Shu.
I just wanted to carry on the conversation with regards to any issues with the Transnet ordinance and what it was in that ordinance. Did that ordinance at that time it was written, have things changed with regards to transportation methodologies and requirements?
Certainly, technology has evolved a lot, and the laws and requirements that are coming down from the state have also changed. Yes.
Yeah, so you wouldn't recommend that I buy a cell phone that had the same capabilities of when the Transnet ordinance was passed? I'm sorry, that was probably a bad joke. But I have another question with regards to Transnet. Were there also some things in there with regards to transit that we haven't been able to build?
I don't have the Transnet ordinance in front of me right now,
I
so
just
I'm
recalled
not
that-
really prepared to
I
speak
just
to the
recall there were
specifics of the ordinance.
some other transit things that were not be able to, that we did not get to fund. And the other question I have, which I've brought up before, and I'm sure you're aware of, that the current guidelines from the state law is for 25% reduction in VMT by 2030 per scoping plan from CARB, which is based on AB 32, which is state law. So how do we address that in the regional transportation plan? Do we address it with an alternative plan within CEQA, or can we put it within the plan as an alternative?
So the 25% reduction in VMT that's in the scoping plan has not been implemented yet. That won't affect the current plan, we don't believe. We think that will affect future plans. That's a statewide target. We don't know how that's going to impact regional targets. I'm not prepared to talk about implementation today.
Sure. That's why I brought up CEQA, because CEQA requires that you do address laws that are in place or plans that are in place. So, and I'm not asking for you for a complete answer to that, but is that true that under CEQA, that we are required by law to address other plans and goals that are in place, in this case, state law? We're required to do so with the executive order, as you know, with two RTPs ago, in which the state Supreme Court said, yeah, you have to pay attention to other goals, even though it may not be legislatively mandated.
I believe you're correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Duncan.
Thank you. And I wanted to make a couple comments. I know briefly flexible fleets were mentioned on the presentation, and I hope that's something that the board and staff does help focus on. Congratulations to National City, the other jurisdictions, the city of San Diego, the Pacific Beach Beach Bug program, which it looks like the statistics that are coming out of it are that it's quite successful. On Tuesday of this week, there was an agenda item on our Coronado City Council agenda, and we passed a pilot program for a flexible fleet situation with something similar to the beach bug, which I believe we'll call Oz, that'll be throughout all of Coronado and free for 6 months, as well as 2 electric vans down to the Ks, which also will be available to the general public, resident or visitor alike. But to me, I just wanted to make a comment about it, because I think part of the thing we always need to constantly remember on this board is that spending the money in the best way with the most bang for the buck is very, obviously what we all want. And when I look at a successful program, whether it's something like FACT with disabled transportation or something like the mini shuttle electric vehicles, those are things that if they have a great bang for the buck, even on the GHG numbers you put up, you already had that those were having some effect, and we had our own study with Coronado that it will have an effect almost immediately. And again, we want to remember that even in a place like Coronado, most of the people that work there and most of the people that visit there are not residents there. It's for our whole county. And again, I just wanted to urge us to focus and consider that as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Burkholder.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks staff for that robust report. I have about 5 items, just and I'll be quick. I know we're over time. This report was a little bit confusing to me. It asked about policy and programs, but it didn't mention the 5 bold moves. So I just want to confirm, first of all, that is still the frame of the regional plan.
All of those elements will be in the plan, the flexible fleets, the mobility hubs, transit.
Okay.
Complete corridors, correct.
Well, it makes me feel better because we spent a lot of time working on that. Fix It First invests in maintenance and rehabilitation of existing transport infrastructure to provide a system that's safe and resilient to natural disasters, which is good for users. I think it's a great idea, but I also believe that we should have different weights of funding based on the proportion to the return on investment for the taxpayer, so that we can focus on infrastructure that's being used by those folks. Does that make sense? Okay, transportation technology and operational improvements help make dynamic operations of managed lanes and increase transit frequencies. Got that. What are the trends on those subjects? And are we looking at those trends and how the impacts would change the behavior of other modes of travel? I think those are important questions to answer. And then what has the highest ROI with regard to the transportation technology and operational improvement? And the last thing on that topic is, was that presented to the mobility working group?
We've had presentations over the course of time on items related to transportation technology. Is there one thing in particular that you're?
Well, no, I just think it's interesting that it wasn't included in here. If the mobility group made recommendations, I have not seen them.
Oh, no, there haven't been any recommendations from the mobility working group on particular transportation technologies. No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay, well, I guess I would recommend this comes back after having it with the mobility working group with what their recommendations might be. I think, I mean, I would just say that would be something I would say is an important, why have a working group if we're not going to take any of their recommendations, I guess. And then not only just their review of it, but also all related planning, multimodal corridor plans, all of that stuff that we've been talking about. I agree with my colleague, Mayor Jones, that I don't want to manage lanes, and I'm firmly against having buses rolling through Palomar Airport Road in Carlsbad. And some of the slide here where you put up the bus transit signal priority, that is just not going to happen in Carlsbad. So it was a little bit to dig into for me. I mean, again, I'm new, but I appreciate that you made the presentation today.
Thank you. And who's next? Mr. Gallardo.
Thank you, Vice Chair Hibner. So great presentation, Antoinette, very comprehensive. Since you're asking for some feedback, I did have one suggestion, which is to try to include some language about emergency evacuations for rural communities and tribal lands. We heard a comment, a public comment this morning regarding concerns by the community of Ramona about emergency evacuations due to wildfires. We know that that's a reality in the backcountry, and it might fit under climate, or might fit under transportation technology and operational improvements. It's really a safety issue, but Vision Zero focuses on traffic-related deaths and serious injuries, so it might not be a good fit. I'm not sure exactly where it fits, but I think it should be a key consideration of the plan and the policies associated with the plan. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Campillo. No, Moreno. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation, and it's good to see all of you. I support the Youth Opportunity Pass, the Social Equity Early Action Program, and the San Ysidro Mobility Hub and Blue Line Express project. I would also like to see a further effort in the 2025 regional plan to invest in places where transit is already working and where density already exists to promote transit usage. In practice, this would mean a much greater and earlier investment in the Blue Line south of downtown. I would also like to see greater focus on lower cost transit amenities such as bus shelters, trash cans, and also benches at many of the bus stops. As many of the bus stops as possible. We treat our bus drivers, I think, very poorly throughout our region. Many of our bus stops are simply a sign sunk in the dirt on the side of a road. And if we want to improve transit ridership, we need a greater focus on projects that would improve the experience of using buses because almost all transit trips require a trip on the bus. So that would be my feedback. But thank you for the presentation. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Kime?
Thank you. First, we have the Go O-Side shuttle, which is our flexible fleet downtown. I'm revitalizing downtown. It's made a big difference. We had it last summer. This summer in July, we had 6,300 passengers. So we actually initiated a nominal fee of $3 per passenger and then a $6 cap, and that's only dropped ridership by about 16%. So for us, it's been successful. I'd like to keep going with that success and seeing how we can improve it. And then on a separate note, I'd like to reiterate my concern with my other North County leaders about taking away a lane with a managed lane on the 78. 78 is a critical issue for us, and I don't want to take away any lanes from managed lanes. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Melendez?
Wonderful comments, everyone. Thank you so much. And thank you for the presentation and all the work that has been done by staff to get us to this point in our planning of our 2025 regional plan. I want to share a brief story about an interaction I had with a neighbor, a senior citizen, and how this illustrates some of my motivations and some of the challenges that I see as we're doing this type of planning. So I went to this person's door, was letting them know about some senior issues that were going to be on a topic for discussion. And we ended up talking about transportation. And she said that she was really concerned about, these messages that we're going to take people's cars away and people won't be able to use their cars anymore. And I assured her, with all the new improvements that Vista has made, including our new green bike lanes, which she was unfamiliar with, that people are still able to use their cars. And then she revealed to me her true issue. And she said that due to her age, she doesn't think that she's going to be able to use her car for very much longer. And it really forced me to recognize that we have some significant gaps in mobility freedom. Not everyone can afford a vehicle. Not everyone can drive a vehicle due to many factors. And I know that equity and considerations of our senior community has been part of the discussion of this plan, this 2025 regional plan. So when we're looking at local programs, I'm a huge advocate of active transportation. I've spoken about this a lot. I think we need to develop complete streets where all modes of transportation are comfortable and easy for people to access. There's nothing more natural than folks being able to move from their front doorstep on 2 feet or wheels and get to where they want to go, right? People deserve that type of freedom. But there are gaps in the middle of all that where, this lovely resident, she was saying she's not going to be using those green bike lanes. And I had to agree with her. There need to be solutions for people who are vulnerable and need more access to transportation. Some of the things that I want to support and that I really like as we're going about this process, I'm excited about flexible fleets. I think that it's an important inclusion, especially as we struggle with issues with parking in a lot of our downtown areas. I'm thinking about cities in North County being able to really benefit from that. I would like to have more in-depth discussions about pricing strategies and how we incentivize the use of public transit. I think that there are often punishment mindsets that we might have when we want to encourage people to make one choice instead of the other. And I would really like to move towards incentivizing people and creating the environment where people can use active transportation and public transportation in a way that is incentivized and comfortable for them. And I think we can do that with pricing strategies. And there are so many conversations that each of our cities need to have about land use and housing and how we're going to actually connect people
when we currently in our county have deep pockets of income inequality, where there are some cities that operate essentially as colonial resorts, where people live there and some people have to work there and they have to come into those cities to work. That type of inequality results in a lot of our transportation strains that we're seeing. There are working people coming into communities and coming into cities that aren't able to live where they work, and that is a burden for the entire region. So when we're having discussions about regional planning, I want to make sure that we're talking about working class housing. We're talking about economic development and opportunity for people of all skill sets and income levels. And we're making sure to capture the vulnerable gaps, like that senior citizen that I spoke to a couple of weeks ago. But moving forward, I think my biggest goal is to be able to have more engagement with the community. And I'm really looking forward to all the future meetings that are going to allow for public participation. So thank you all for the discussion, and I hope we can find consensus on some of these ideas.
Thank you. Councilmember Duncan, you had another comment?
Thank you. I just had a conclusionary or a piece of information comment in regard to flexible fleets. I just wanted to make sure that all the board knew. So the pilot program, for instance, that Coronado is implementing has zero funding or really assistance from SANDAG whatsoever. And if that, current budget or pot of funding is empty, that's part of the reason why I raise it, for whether we look at it with the regional plan or cycle funding, et cetera. And I did agree with the prior comments from Board Member Melendez that I thought we were all very great, except for potentially if she was referring to Coronado as a colonial resort. I obviously disagree with that bizarre comment, but the big focus on flexible fleets and transportation and last mile and helping those same people that you're referring to, those workers, be able to get to where they need to get is really one of my main reasons for supporting flexible fleets. It is over 90% of people on the military base obviously live on carriers, maybe on the base or other housing, and the naval base is working very, very hard to provide additional housing for them, which I greatly appreciate. But the truth is, I grew up in, Glendora and had family that worked in the west side of LA, and, we couldn't afford to live in Beverly Hills or Bel Air or Malibu. There are actual literal restrictions on places like Coronado where there is only so many houses you can build. And when we had HCD come down and tour Coronado with us and say, where would you like us to build this additional housing? Their answer was, yeah, it's impossible. So we'll come up with another solution. So there's restrictions with air bases, there's restrictions with the federal government, there's restrictions with the port and 50 other organizations. But in any event, I'm a big supporter of the transportations you mentioned and for funding it, because as of now, if any other city in here is looking to make a pilot program permanent or looking to start a pilot program, there is no funding from SANDAG available to apply for. Thank you.
Hopefully that'll change. Councilmember Shu, you have some final comments?
Sure, I'll try to make them brief. This is a recommendation as we will go forward on workshops. I think the public, and for that matter, all of us as board members as well, need, I think, more information as to what do we know about transportation and transportation planning. That building more lanes does not relieve congestion. We know about induced demand. That needs to be set right up front, that if you build another lane on the freeway, you're not going to relieve congestion. We know that in metropolitan areas. We know that the state's not going to fund additional VMT type projects. So if we do have to build more lanes, even if it's a managed lane, that's going to be our discretionary funds that we draw. And when you do that, that takes away money from other people who need it, who is actually raising that money. When we talk about sales tax funding. So regressive tax, we're asking poor people to bail out lanes being built for places that they're not going to travel on. In fact, they don't have cars. So I think those are issues that we need to bring up front in our public workshops, that we ourselves realize that we can't do what we did 20, 30 years ago. That's what got us into our trouble today. However, there's light going forward. We know about flexible fleets. We should be looking at things like virtual bus stops, so we don't have to be fixed to central locations. We have technology so that You could say, I want to go to from point A to point B at such and such a time. And something's going to tell you on your phone, walk 2 blocks and something will pick you up. Somebody will pick you up on a flexible fleet and get you where you need to go. We're not fixated to our old systems. There are new systems in play. I'm looking forward to the pilot programs we have going forward, more innovative programs that we put in place in our communities. In the end, when we do that, we save money and we have a healthier community. So to me, that's the kind of forward thinking that we should be thinking about and not regress into saying, oh, I don't want to see a bus on my particular street. Well, I mean, it may not be a bus. Maybe it's going to be a flexible fleet vehicle that may even be driving by itself that holds 12 people. But it's going to be much more efficient and cheaper and healthier for our communities. We know the most expensive and most dangerous way to travel is in your car by yourself. That's the most expensive for individuals as well as for all of us in government building the infrastructure to support that. So if we want to move forward, we've got to be thinking in terms of what we know about transportation today and not think about how we used to do things 20, 30 years ago. That's what got into the dilemma that we have today. So I hope that's the kind of information that we need to work with and be forward about when we work with our communities with the next regional plan. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. And Councilmember Fisher.
Thanks. I'll try to be brief. I'm grateful to hear all my colleagues talk about flexible fleets and how important it is from the north to the south. You know, my thought is we need to look at what we fund from SANDAG. Most of the flexible fleets we have a very large conglomerate of people who are very professional filling out grants and getting those grants. If you come down to Imperial Beach, we have something that's working and it serves our senior community to no end. And it's not walk 2 blocks, Jack. It's actually, we'll pick you up at your doorstep. And we saw during the MTS strike, if it wasn't for IB shuffling, we would have had seniors in a huge, huge problem. And, you know, and that's our frustration from the gentleman who operates that is it's just, he struggles. And as much as I like the opportunity to have it be technology-based, it needs to be community-based. We should look at our flexible fleets as something that's community-based, that is serving a community that needs the help. Now, I think that in some places like Councilmember Duncan, you might need it for the tourists to get around a little bit easier. In Pro Beach, it's a lot more about the individual and, you know, to look at how we can help something that's community-based help the community. So thanks.
Thank you. I see nobody else up on the board. This is a discussion item. This has been a really good discussion. And I think that the discussion reflects all of our desires to connect our region in an individual basis because all of our cities are somewhat different. We have some commonalities, but we also have some unique characteristics and we need to serve our constituents with the help of putting our regional hats on and working together on this body. So with that, we will conclude this particular item and we'll move on to the continued non-agenda public items. Tessa? Public comments.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I have 10 public commenters that are continued from item 1. I will call all the names. If you are present here in the room, please be prepared to come to the podium. If you are virtual, please raise your hand when your name is called. Michael Brando, Nicole Burgess, Truth, Bill Carpenter, Alex Wong, Blair Beekman, the original draw, phone number 899, Jamie, and Barbara Davis. Michael Brando, please go ahead.
I want to applaud John Duncan for calling out that remark Katie Melendez made, colonial resorts. And she also made the comment, people deserve that kind of freedom. That's a kind of a problem with some of these groups because they take on the idea that they have the right to designate what freedoms people have and don't have. I see Raul Campillo just left. I want to talk about the face scam agenda. This thing that's kind of rolling out again, trying to get people to wear face scams, the anti-science face scams. Again, this gentleman, Raul Campillo, has been wearing a face scam all week long. Well, at least one day, at least at the City of San Diego City Council meeting. Now, they're getting ready to roll out these new bioweapon serum injections again. They're calling it for the new variant. And I hope this organization does not promote this as normalcy because it's not normal. It's actually anti-health and anti-science.
Our next public speaker, Nicole Burgess, I believe has left. Truth, please come to the podium.
I like the virtual bus stop idea, shoot, but it's just financially unrealistic. All right, the Hassan's History Hullabaloo House Party Hoedown will be great, but I'm still awaiting the SANDAG elimination celebration. Let's see. Okay. If I get 6 reps here to sign a petition, each donating 10 seconds of speaking time to me, can I have a 2-minute non-agenda? Because I'm pretty sure Ryan will give me 5 minutes. But hey, Hassan, guess where I went? One of your favorite spots, a DOF restaurant. But it was above my pay scale. Nobody gives me thousands for lunch. But true story, after the last meeting, I had lunch at a restaurant whose owners gave me a discount for defending the neighborhood here at SANDAG. How about that? And Tony, I heard you call in at BOS going against Fallbrook and Rainbow's right to represent themselves, and you didn't like the very fair comparison to the weighted vote. But I guess you're a fan of tyranny. And unlike No Show Nora, I'm ready to name names on a mayor with bad intentions. Definitely Mayor Todd. He's always up to BS, bad stuff. He's never here or at city council meetings, but he gets
Your time expired.
$230,000 a year.
Our next speaker, Alan C. Please go ahead.
Hi, the SANDAG workshop webpage, I quote, "For in-person events, we will provide dinner." Council Kirk, it's against the law for SANDAG to use our taxes to campaign for more taxes. As you go through these workshops, you see all these cards for transit, not one card for expanding the freeways, which we've been promised since 1987 Transnet. Yes, Transnet actually said expanding all the freeways, which did not happen. Not managed lanes, not bike lanes, not bus lanes, taking away freeway lanes, which will ease the congestion, Council Shu, because as the electric car takes over, they need roads. Amazon needs roads. FedEx needs roads. Your delivery truck for your donuts right behind you, it needs roads. So knock off this crap and put, just like you did back in 2020, elevate when you campaign for taxes. And I say campaign for taxes because Gretchen Newsom is actually pushing through a 0.5-cent sales tax next year. Knock it off. The people won't put up with this. I yield back.
Our next speaker, the original draw, please go ahead.
Oh my gosh, thank God you said that, driving alone is the most dangerous way to travel by yourself. I mean, how would I have known outside of that? I mean, because it's like, it would be crazy to think that like an unmanned vehicle, driving itself with a lithium bomb in it would be, but I mean, good to know. I mean, I'm just not going to drive alone ever again. But what I was thinking is instead of, it's like doing these 15-minute cities, let's go into like a 3 or 4-minute city, or what you could even do is just provide everybody a toilet so that they can just sit on it. And then we'll get video, virtual reality goggles. And so we can just live in virtual reality and people won't need to go anywhere. It's like if you need to go to the store, you just virtually go there and pretend you're going to go, and then you guys can just give them like Soylent Green or whatever injected into us. So then we just then you go to the bathroom, you flush it, and then it comes back up and you drink it because it's been filtered as water. That way we don't even have to do any of this stuff for infrastructure for travel, right? I mean, but if you didn't want to, you could also do a moving sidewalk. That's very nice.
Your time expired. Our final two non-agenda public speakers, Blair Beekman, please go ahead.
Hi, Blair Beekman here. As part of my public comment at Executive Committee today, a reminder that there may be some serious problems with what's happened in Hawaii and the Lahaina area with their wildfire situation. I think in California, we've learned really important lessons about the concepts of how to plan well for our natural disasters and such, and not to use the practices of disaster capitalism. It's possible Hawaii has not quite learned those lessons yet, but they are. So, but I'm hopeful that California is, and that they know how to plan without using disaster capitalism practices. And that's an important goal to be working towards, and why I'm hopeful that, for our 2025 things, like with things with tech accountability, the importance of tech is really important, but we have to have a balance of that with tech accountability. Learning how to have both of those conversations is important for our future. Good luck how to do that. And that's what I'm counting on. How do we talk in 2025 and to the community and work?
Your time expired. And our final speaker today, Jamie, please go ahead.
Oh, hello, this is Jamie, and I live in Del Mar, California.
I would like to voice my deep concern and opposition to the proposal of tunneling a train underneath the fragile sandstone bluffs of Del Mar and right underneath our homes. This project, while it may promise convenience and improved transportation, carries with it risks and consequences that you cannot ignore. Tunneling under our bluffs will disrupt our unique coastal ecosystem irreparably. The potential for landslides, erosion, and environmental damage is of grave concern, and the safety of our community is at stake. Transporting trains under our homes poses a real and constant threat. Accidents, leaks, and spills of hazardous materials can have catastrophic consequences, endangering lives and property. And we all know that government projects cost 3 times as much and go 3 times as long. And given SANDAG's history of waste, fraud, and abuse, we are certain this will happen.
And that concludes the public comments.
Very good. Actually, that concludes our meeting. The next Board of Directors meeting will be September 22nd at 9 a.m. We are adjourned.